What's going on, guys? Finally came up with a function that will pull data for both crypto and stocks. So you can have it in one big, beautiful tracker like this. I'm actually going to keep it pretty simple. We're not going to get into any kind of fancy dashboards that I usually do. I just really want to show you the function so you could get started with it, and then you can implement it in pretty much any other tracker that I have made. We're going to be pulling data from CoinMarketCap. This is where we're getting all of our crypto information. And then when it comes to stocks, it's just going to be the Google Finance function, but we're going to merge them together. And if you don't have time to sit down and make all this, you can always just click on the link in the description of this video or any video that I put up. And if you subscribe to my Patreon, it will give you access to every single Google Sheet tracker that I have made. So you can download that and use it yourself without going through the tedious work of actually making it. But we're going to dive right into this video. So just to show you what we have set up here, again, nothing too crazy. Here's my portfolio breakdown and the performance. We're pulling things like Apple, Microsoft, Bitcoin, PayPal, Etsy, Ethereum, Target, Litecoin, Solana, and Bitcoin Cash. We could change this. We could put in, instead of Apple, how about NVIDIA? We type that in, and then you could see that the price just updated for NVIDIA. We could type in, how about Cardano? Let it load, and there we go. There is Cardano's price that pops up. But let's change this back to Apple. So you can see that it's completely dynamic, and we are pulling both cryptos and stocks. So how do we do it? Well, I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to open up a new sheet. So I got my dashboard 2, and this is where all the magic is going to happen. The first thing we're going to dive into is the two functions that we are using. So we're going to do a little test field, right? This is going to be our, we'll call it a ticker or asset. And then this is going to be the price. That's what we want. Our goal is to pull the price. So we want Apple, and then how about Bitcoin? So what's the function that is going to pull both of these? Well, for Apple, what we need to do is, as everyone knows, we got our Google Finance function. Then we can click on Apple, and then boom, we're done. It's loading. There's the price. That's nice and easy. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is one of the few cryptos. It's only Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe Bitcoin Cash. You could pull from Google Finance with the currency, but we don't want that. We want it to actually come from CoinMarketCap. So the equation is going to be equals value index import HTML. So right there, concat, and then what we want, and we want to put it in quotations, is CoinMarketCap. So HTTPS CoinMarketCap. So let's throw that in. .com / which we already have, currencies, another / close those quotations, comma, we want to pick the cell, so we want to pull from C9, which says Bitcoin. Then we want to close the parentheses, do another comma, open quotations, table, we want to be pulling from a table, close quotation, comma, 1, so we're pulling from table 1, close that, comma, 1, comma, 2. That's saying the row and column that we want to pull from. We hit enter, and then there's Bitcoin's price. And we can highlight both and then do the currency sign. There we go. As I'm recording this, Bitcoin's worth $45,000. Apple is worth $175. So how do we combine these two functions together? That's what we want to do. So it's actually pretty simple. So we're actually just going to jump over here. And then once we have this, we could start forming this little dashboard that I made. So we're going to do asset again, and then price again. And then asset, we'll do Apple. And then we'll do Bitcoin. Now keep in mind, I'm keeping everything lowercase when it comes to cryptos. And that is because CoinMarketCap kind of updated its code. And for you to pull, it has to be lowercase. You can't have anything capitalized. If we actually go over to CoinMarketCap, here's Bitcoin. If you right click and then go to inspect, and then this pops up, which looks all confusing, but it's really not. If you dig into this, you want to find where the first table is, which is right here. So table. And then when you drop that down, we want to get to Bitcoin. And you can see this line right here. It says /currencies/Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is lowercase. So they must have changed that. I think it was uppercase maybe a couple of months ago. And I have a video up showing how to pull from this website. But now it's lowercase. So that's going to be for all of our cryptos. So just keep that in mind. But jumping back over here, we're actually going to dive into the function, and this is going to be the meat of the video. So what we want is equals, and I'm going to do the long function so we don't have to redo it. So you're going to see why we're having if error and all of that. This is so we could then create the dashboard. But first, we want to get the big function out of the way. So we're going to do if error, if, so we're going to be doing some if statements here. Then is blank. Then we're going to click on this cell. So for me, it's F8. I'm going to close that. And then we're going to do comma, quotation, quotation, comma. So that's saying if it's blank, keep it blank. But if not, Google Finance, F8 again. So pulling from that cell, comma, price, because we want the price. Close that. And then you want to close the parenthesis there. Then comma, value, index, import HTML. So you can see now it's starting to make sense. We're combining these two functions together. Concat. And then it's going to be the same thing. We're going to open the the quotation. We could copy this again. So we're going to copy it into place. And then we want currencies, / quotation, comma, F8, or wherever your ticker is. Close that parentheses, comma, table, and I'll explain this code in a second. Close the parentheses, comma, 1, close parentheses again, comma, 1, comma, 2, close, 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 hit enter, and then look at that. We have 175 and it's already suggesting autofill. We got 45,000, so we already know that it's working. And then if we just kind of take this function and drag it down, we could test it. What about PayPal? Great, that works. Microsoft, okay. What about Litecoin? All right, so we know that the function actually works. So instead of Microsoft, we'll throw Cardano in there. It's loading, boom. So now we know that it's good. Everything is working. So let me just explain this function really quick. What is actually happening here? So we got an if error. That's pretty much saying if this first function, the if error, if this function is going to be pulling an error, and because we're trying to pull from Google Finance and Google Finance does not have Litecoin, this is causing an error. If we were to get rid of all of this, so let me get rid of this, and then we'll get rid of the if error as well. Hit enter. We got NA, or an error. So let's do Control Z to bring it back. So it's saying if this function is going to cause an error, then try this function. And as we now know, this function pulls from CoinMarketCap. So that's how it works. Pretty much what's happening is when you type in an asset, then the function is going to say, okay, let's try to pull from Google Finance. All right, it's Apple and we're actually getting a result, so we'll spit that out. Or I'm going to say, hey, we're not getting anything. We're actually getting an error message, so this is the wrong function. Let's try the next function, which is the one that's going to be pulling from CoinMarketCap. And then it spits it out. So that is our main function. That's how we're going to create this. So what I want you to do now that we have that is copy this function. So we're going to do some Control C so we have the function now, and we can start building out this dashboard. So I'm actually going to delete all of this, but I copied the function. Make sure you do that so you don't have to rewrite the function or anything like that. And we're just going to start up here. We're going to start making everything. Well, I'm actually going to go down to row 18. And I'm going to say asset, shares, purchase. Whoops, we don't want shares and purchase on the same line. So shares, purchase, price, cost, value, then we want dollar gain, and we want percent gain. All right, so for asset, we're going to put in our assets. So I have Apple, Microsoft, I'll do Bitcoin, I'll have some PayPal, Ethereum, we'll do Etsy, Litecoin, Solana, and Bitcoin Cash. If you have something that's 2 words, you need to make sure you have that little dash in between the two. And remember, all of your cryptocurrencies need to be in lowercase, and it has to be the full name. We can't replace it with just the ticker. We can't say BTC or ETH. It's not going to work. So once we have that, we'll get to the shares in a second, but let's go to price. This is where we're going to hit Control V. We want to paste that function back in. And now nothing popped up, but that's because we're not pulling from F8 anymore. F8 is somewhere over here. F8's right here. Nothing's in that field. We want to pull from A19 and down. So we're going to jump over to price, and instead of F8, I'm going to change that to A19, and we want to change F8 over here to A19 and over here. So we have to change those 3 to A19. Hit enter. There's our price, and it's already telling us, here's your suggested autofill. Great, that's what we want. And then if you want, you could just bring this down. I don't know how many stocks and cryptos you have, but you could just go down indefinitely. So now that we have the price out of the way, that's probably the hardest part. And making the function was honestly the hardest part. So now we can get into shares. How many shares do we have? Let's pretend we have 50 shares of Apple, 25 shares of Microsoft, 0.15 Bitcoin, about 30 PayPal, Ethereum. We'll say we have 3. Etsy, we'll say 25 shares, Litecoin 22, Solana 25, and Bitcoin Cash 10. So there's all of the shares that you have. And remember, you don't have to follow along with this. Once you have the function, you can really just run with this and create something really cool. Or you could take one of my trackers that I have on my Patreon and implement this function into it. But let's just keep going on with this video. Now your purchase price, we'll say I bought Apple for $105. Microsoft for $182, Bitcoin, let's say 43,500, PayPal, we'll say 229, Etsy, Ethereum, about 1,500, Etsy, we'll say 105, Litecoin, we'll do 104, about 135 for Solana, and about 420 for Bitcoin Cash. Just random numbers, really doesn't matter, but you'll put in your actual values. So cost, this is going to be a really easy function. So now we got to create the rest of our functions, but the rest is going to be easy, guys. We're going to do equals if is blank. So we got our if is blank, A19, because that's what we're pulling from. We could close that, and then we're going to do comma, parentheses, parentheses, comma, quotation, quotation. You see that that's false because this cell is not blank. So now it's going to jump over to the next one, which is going to be B19 times C19. So we're just, what's our cost? Our cost is our shares multiplied by our purchase price. So simple math there. Hit enter, autofill. Great. There's all of our pricing. And we could actually hit on this cell and do the $sign. Price, we could do the $sign. Purchase, $sign as well. We're also going to want that for value and gain. And for H, we're going to want percentage. All right, so once we have that, we'll jump over the value. And don't worry, guys, we're going to make this look all pretty and whatnot. But right now, we just want to get the data in. So we're going to do equals again, another if is blank. If is blank, there it is, A19, close, comma, quotation, quotation, comma, and then what we want is B multiplied, now if this is our value, by the current price. So D, hit enter, and boom, that goes down, and here's our current value because it's just the amount of shares we have multiplied by its current price. Dollar gain, we need if is blank again. I'm actually just going to copy this because that's going to be exactly the same, and just to speed things along. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm actually going to go up here and go Control Paste. And what do we want for our gain? Our gain is going to be F minus E. So our value minus our cost. How much should we pay for, and what is it worth now? Hit enter, so then we can see we made $3,000, lost $3,000, made $5,000, whatever. All right, and then for our percent gain, same deal. I'm going to hit Control V just to paste in our if is blank function. And then what we want is F minus E, then close that and then divide it by E. Close that and hit enter. And we can do that. And then that is our percentage. So how much are we up and how much are we down? All right, so now we're starting to get somewhere. We could start to kind of make this look nicer. Let me actually drop this down. So, you could bold stuff if you want, do all that. We could center it, which we will do more of that in a little bit. But I just kind of want to have this all centered. And also all the same font. So we'll do default and then make sure it's all 10. Great. And then I'll actually have row 18, which has all the categories, whatever you want to call them. We'll make that a little bit bigger. All right. So that's just, some maintenance. So it looks a little cleaner. But now we're going to make the two charts. So the charts that we have over here, you could see we got this little performance chart and then a portfolio breakdown. And then right in the middle, we actually have the total value, which I like doing that. So that's what we're going to make now. We're going to make these two charts, and then we'll change the colors around, add in some conditional formatting as well. And then that will pretty much be it. But let's jump back over. So how are we going to make these charts? So we'll start with the easier one, which is going to be the pie chart. And pretty much we're going to highlight this row right here. We'll go from here down, however many stocks you have and how many positions you have. And keep in mind how many more you might end up having. So you might want to include that. So I just went down and I'm going to actually, let's do that again. And I'm going to do insert a chart. And it says no data. And that's because we only have our x-axis. Now we need our series. And well, actually before that, let me move this out of the way, move that out of the way. All right, so for our series, we're going to want our value. So we want our value to go all the way down to F34 because that's what I have for our x-axis. And then there we go. But this isn't a pie chart, obviously. So once we have that, that just kind of throws our data on. Then we could do this and go to the pie with the circle. All right, and now we can see, look, now it's showing my percentage and everything, kind of what I had in the other thing. But we're still not done here. Right now, I think it looks really ugly, and that's because the actual pie is a little too big for me. So it's the donut hole. I don't like 50, I like 75. I think that just looks nicer. And that'll really help when we put the actual price of the overall portfolio in the middle. We're going to want to have room for that. So we could kind of push it together a little. I want to make sure Bitcoin Cash doesn't get cut off. So there we go. We still have that. Now what we want to do, we're in Customize, Chart Style, Background, None, and then Chart Border, also None. So then it's see-through. So we could bring this up to here, and we actually may have to shrink this a little. Okay, Bitcoin Cash got cut off. I'm really not too worried about that. We could kind of mess around with that later if you want. But let's do some of that, and we will want it right here. We'll actually widen that actually. So there we go. It's not cut off anymore. But we'll put that right there for now. And now what we want to do is make that other chart, which is a little bit more involved, but it's really not that bad. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and we're going to go to Insert Chart. And then we're going to go to our column chart. And what we want is our stacked column chart. Just going to do that. And we're going to go to Add Series. I need to move all this out of the way again. So let's move that and that. So the first series we want is going to be E. So let me copy all of E, hit OK, and I'm working with a really small screen right now. So let me just kind of put this down here because now we want to add a second series, and that second series is going to be our gain. How much money have we made on top of our cost? So I'm going to do our gain, go all the way down, hit OK. And then you could see right here, here's our little portfolio performance, as I like to call it. We'll kind of bring it into place, and we can now mess around with sizing. The first thing I want to do actually is get rid of this. I don't want the legend. I don't need that. We're going to want to widen this. I want all my tickers to be down and not slanted. And same thing as the pie chart. I want to get rid of our border. So I'm going to do none. Well, border and background. Get rid of both of those. Okay, great. And then setup. No, not setup. I want to be in customize. And I want to throw on a title. The title is going to be portfolio performance. Let's spell performance right. All right, so there's that, and we could then center it and bold it. And I actually realized I had this wrong too. So this one was actually spelt wrong. Let me just fix that. Performance, great. Get X out of that. Let's go back to our dashboard. So got our portfolio performance. This one, we'll open this. So double click on it, go to customize, and same deal. We want to give it a title. So I'm going to do my portfolio breakdown. Everything's spelt right there. And we want to bold it and center it as well. And then I could X out of that. Now we could start messing around with the actual size of everything. So let's bring this right here. I want to make it the same size as that. And then we got this one. Now the first thing I want to do is actually highlight all of these and widen these columns a little. So I want to widen it pretty much to the size of the screen. So it kind of takes up everything. Oh, that's a little too big. All right, that's close enough for me. So now I could bring this in to we'll bring it to the end of H. And then we could drop this down. I'll drop it down to about here. Then this one, I want to bring over, let it touch that, and then drop it down as well, make our circle bigger. And now this is kind of the hard part, just getting this centered right. So I need one of these lines to be right in the middle of the circle, one of the cell lines. So that's what's going to kind of be difficult. So we actually can't have it too big. Right about here is probably the size we want. But then we could give this one more room. We could bring this over like that to about there. So there. So right in the middle is probably B9 and B10. So we actually got to move this out of the way. We're going to take B9 and B10 and we're going to merge it together. And then this is going to be easy. We're just going to hit equals, sum, and then we just want to sum all of our values together. And remember, keep in mind, maybe I won't have just this many positions. I might have more. So I want to include what I might end up also buying. So that's why I go further down than just that F27. I go down to F39. I hit enter, and then we can see it says 52,000. Great. We have it centered already, but we also want it in the middle like that. And then we could bold it. We could make it bigger as well so it stands out. Size 18 seems pretty good. And then we could bring this back over. And you can see now that's right in the middle. And then that is right there. So now it's starting to look like what I originally had. But we're not done yet. You can see here I have a dark theme going on. And you don't have any of the... You don't see the grid either, just to really clean it up. So to get rid of the grid, that's actually easy. If you go to edit, if you go to view, show, get rid of grid, then there you go. The grid's gone. So now it's starting to look a lot cleaner. Another thing I had was some conditional formatting. So for our gain and loss, well, our dollar gain and percent gain, We want to highlight this, right click, and then you want to go to conditional formatting, which is right here. So for conditional formatting, I don't want it to be the fill color, so I'm going to leave that none. I want it to be our text. And we want a nice neon green, and we want that bold as well. And then we want to change this to if greater than, or we can do greater than and equal to 0. So if it's greater than or equal to 0, we want it to be neon green. We could hit done, add another rule. Again, we want our fill color to be none. And we want this to be bright red. We want that bold. And we want this to be if less than 0. Hit done, X out of that. And there you go. We can see anything that I'm up on is going to be green, and then what I'm down on is going to be red. And pretty much we want to do the same thing for this one. So we want to right click, go to conditional formatting again, and then same deal, if greater than or equal to 0, we want it to be that neon color. We want that to be none. Whoops. And we want to make it bold. Hit done, add another rule. Make sure the fill is none. We want the text to be red, bold, and we want that to be if less than 0. Hit done, X out, and then there we go. Now it's starting to look like what I had. And then if you want to make it that dark theme that I had in the other one, that's pretty simple. And you can actually also see I have all the colors matching up with our portfolio performance and our portfolio breakdown. I had to manually go in and change all the colors, which is kind of annoying. So if you want to do that, you can. But every time you add a different position or move it around, it's going to mess with the colors. So keep that in mind. But just to show you what we got is now a fully functioning sheet. Let me just bring these functions down just to make sure. Bring that function down and this function down. We could go ahead and add another ticker or crypto. So let's add, how about Twitter? So there's TWTR, we hit enter, and then all of that updated. We got to say our shares. We'll say we have 10 shares and we bought it for $45. But there you go. Now Twitter is that very small slither right there, all the way down here. If we actually want it to stand out, let's pretend we have 100 shares. There we go. Twitter's much bigger now. So that gets updated. It gets updated here for your portfolio performance. And this gets updated as well. Now we have $57,000 in our portfolio. And then if we ended up getting a different crypto, how about BNB? So let's do BNB. That's loading. Boom, there it is. We'll say we have 2 shares and we bought it for, I don't know, $1,800. So we're in the red there. But now BNB is added. And then there it is down there. So everything is dynamic. Our portfolio updated too. Now we have $61,000 added. If you want to know how to make it dark theme like I have, you just click up here, this little thing right up here, and then you go to the fill. And I had to make a custom color. So that's easy to make a custom color. You just go to add, and it's not completely black, but it's a very, very dark gray. Maybe somewhere like that. And we hit OK. And then there, that's maybe a little lighter than what I originally had. But you get the point. You can mess around with exactly what kind of background you want. And then obviously all of my text I had to update to be white, so it stands out and you can actually see what's going on here. So if we go to text, make that white. There we go. Oh, and also I had a line going through this. So if you highlight that and you want to go up here to borders, make the border white. And then you want to make it a thick line like that. There you go. So that kind of differentiates that. Actually, I don't like the thick line. Let's make that a little bit skinnier. That's too much for me. Yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. And now, obviously, you can't really see what's going on with your text on your charts. So you got to double click into it and open this back up. And it's pretty easy with breakdown. Auto color, you can just make it white or whatever color you want. Portfolio, same deal, white. And then this right here, all of our, the value, our, what is that, y-axis, change it so we can see the color. Our x-axis, we also want it so we could see. And then all of our percentages, we want to change that color as well so we can see what's going on. So we can X out of that. And last, we want to just kind of move that. And then we need to change our portfolio balance. Oh, now we can't grab that. So we bring that back. Bring this back. All right, that's looking good. And if you're someone like me and you want to match up all the colors, then to manually do it, well, first, this, our gain, you can have whatever color you want. Whoops. So if we want this to be white, there you go. And then if you want to change this with all of the different colors, you could then, I just went through, you actually have to double click. See how now only this is highlighted, these aren't. And then fill color, we'll keep that dark red. The next one, we'll make it light red. The one after that, we'll make it orange. The one after that, we'll make it yellow. And I could keep going with all the different colors. And then same deal with this. If I want it to match up, then you go over here, red, double click on this. So we can make the color that other red, double click on this. That would be orange. Want to change PayPal to that yellow. And again, I could keep going, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to sit here and change the rest of the colors. But there we go, guys. That is pretty much it. You can see that right there within less than 30 minutes, we're able to recreate this stock/crypto portfolio tracker. The big part of it, let me jump over to one that I had that had the right colors. The big part of it is this function right here, your price function up here, to be able to pull both stocks and cryptos. We're pulling from not only Google Finance, but if that fails, then the function will jump over to CoinMarketCap, and that's what's getting our price. And we don't have to stop at price, guys. All this is saying is we want price, pull price. If we can't get it from here, then we want the price from CoinMarketCap. We could change the table, change our columns. It doesn't have to be price. Maybe we want market cap or volume or a performance. So you could really get creative with it and you aren't just restricted to price. But I know a lot of you have been asking for this exact sheet. Here's how you make it now. If you like this video, guys, I'd really appreciate you to smash that like button. And as always, I will see you in the next one.